G'day everyone, my name's Lachlan Perry. Today I wanted to share with you what's been my biggest driving force towards finishing off my first novel, which I'm finally going to publish in January next year. I've had the idea for this novel for going on 6 years now, but it has only been in the last 2.5 years that I've really put my pen to paper and have gotten this story done. What has really gotten me through the fiction writing process is two things: an outline and a screenplay. Before understanding the process of screenwriting, I was at a loss as to how to write a novel. Writing a book seemed like such a convoluted process that only people with extraordinary talents for words could achieve. I spent a good deal of time trying to emulate guys like Stephen King. They seem like such gods because when I tried attempting to produce a novel, I could never write more than about 10,000 words. I wouldn't be able to go further than the first chapter without feeling uncertain about the rest of the story. So, to try and assuage my uncertainty, I tried to make the first chapter as best as I possibly could. But no matter how many times I did this, I never felt confident enough to continue with the story and try to reach the minimum benchmark of 60,000 words. The benefit of doing screenwriting is that it forces a writer to consider the fundamentals that can be so easily ignored when trying to write a novel. A screenplay is essentially the nuts and bolts of a story. To put this in the context of movies, it doesn't matter how good the director is or how many A-lister actors have signed up to the film. If the story is worthless, then the movie will remain a total waste of time. It's the same deal for a novel. The truth is, there are more well written books out there than there are well designed ones. Too many novelists go off on tangents that make the reader desperately wanting to get a chapter over with. This is why I ignored books for a time and went on to focusing on screenplays because they are perfect at cutting through the jargon and getting onto what's important. As many screenwriting books will bring up, even more important than the screenplay is the outline. The outline of the story is the land upon which your castle will be built upon. Likewise, the screenplay is the frame of your castle. It will hold up all the grandeur that you intend to show off. More often than not, once you have a rock solid idea of what's going to happen scene by scene, you'll find that the characters develop themselves. Unlike an actor might do, I do not create huge character profiles. I let the character be morphed around the storyline. By the time you finish the first screenplay draft, the character has been born. What you decide to do with the screenplay from then on will determine how that character grows into the real, authentic person that will be admired by all. After completing my first screenplay, I was surprised to feel unnaturally talented at crafting a story. This was because I felt so trapped in my writing abilities. I spent the next couple of years writing screenplays and getting a feel for what works and what doesn't. Only in the last 2 years have I turned back to writing novels. Based upon a screenplay I titled The Resolution, I started to pluck away at a few chapters. Within a period of about 6 months, I was staggered to find that I'd written close to 60,000 words. I'd simply broken the screenplay into chapters and filled in the blanks. All the dialogue and all the actions of the characters was already laid out for me. The most important work had already been done. What remained was the glamour, the grandeur. This is when background stories and scene setting really come into play. This is the part that impresses the critics the most. They love to marvel at fine wordplay and intricate backstories. My mistake was thinking that this is what builds the castle. Novelists can go down this path so much that the story may seem redundant, but rarely are these novels read for any other reason but for literature worship. Consequently, I no longer treat writers who can punch out 200,000 words a year like they are gods. True, I cannot write 3,000 words a day like Stephen King, but over 2 years while studying at uni full time and also working part time, I've been able to write a 120,000 word novel and I've organized its publication at the same time. I'm now onto writing my second novel after having spent 3 months on the screenplay. The outline for this story I spent 2 years pondering over. I know that's a hell of a long time, but what matters for a writer the most is having a solid foundation for which to build his or her own story upon. Without a rock solid understanding of this process, it is almost impossible to feel confident in your abilities.